Good morning, everyone. It is January 7th, 2026, our first show of the season, and I'd like to welcome you all to the virtual breakfast sessions. We've got an interesting show. The people that are going to be on, are they sages? They your best friends? Or are they the soothsayer from Julius Caesar, who's saying, "Beware the Ides of March"? I think a little bit of all three. So before we get going, uh, let's hear from our guest and introduce yourself. Ed, say hi to the folks.
Good morning, folks. Happy New Year. Ed Flanagan here. I'm a national practice partner with the ERA Group.
Okay, and Bob Brody, say hi.
Hello, everyone. Bob Brody, Brody and Associates. We're a labor, employment, and benefits firm, primarily helping management deal with all kinds of employee issues, in court, out of court, general counsel.
Okay, and Fred, say hi to
Good
the
morning.
folks.
Happy New Year. Fred Klashman, editor and publisher of Total Food Service. Looking forward to an interesting session.
All right. Okay, so once again, we're talking about what's new in 2026. But before we go into the show, um, let's get a little feel for what's going on. Bob, let's start with you. You and I spoke yesterday, and we spoke about getting started today. What does that mean?
Uh, Um, Businesses are making choices all the time. And one of the big questions is, are you going to try to stay in compliance or get in compliance? I think a challenge of it is someone looks at all of their employees and say, I'll never get all this organized. And what I'm talking about is from today, let's just do it right. And frankly, there's attrition in this business. Everyone knows it. Over time, you're going to get the whole business in line. But it's not a suggestion that turn your business upside down, because that's just doesn't make any sense. But the smart move is, okay, that first hire today, am I going to do the I-9 form, that thing that says they're entitled to work in the United States? Am I going to address that? Am I going to try to make sure that the wages that I pay them are legal? Those kinds of things you can start now. And the nice thing is you're not going to have to change anything with that person down the road. And it's those changes that usually stir up trouble and people start to complain. If you get them on the right foot at the start, it's a much smoother operation.
All right. And in that vein, getting started today, why don't you add a little bit, Ed?
So a lot of companies are struggling at this time. Costs are going up. There's tariffs. Uh, they're trying to increase their profits, but it's very difficult. So the one thing you can do is look at your expenses. You don't look at salary. You look at all the other expenses that you incur to run your business. And the nice thing is every dollar that you save drops right down to the bottom line. In order to get a dollar in the bottom line from revenue, you need to, depending on your profit margin, you need to get $5 to $10 in revenue to make up the same $1 in savings on the bottom line. So the one thing you want to concentrate this year is trying to keep your costs under control. And a lot of our clients don't have the time, they don't have the expertise, they don't have the benchmark data. So we can come in and help them. And the nice thing is we work on a contingency basis. There's no upfront cost. If we do find savings, we share in the savings. If we don't find savings, we just pat you in a bag and say, hey, you're kicking butt. Keep it up. The other nice thing is that we stay around for 3 years. And if there are savings, we prove them. We do audits every month. And we say, here's what you were paying on this expense. Here's what you're paying now. And here's what the savings are. And that's when we bill you after the savings are already in your pocket.
So
Hey,
what?
I have a question. One of the things that I get a sense of in talking to restaurateurs and chefs every day is um, food costs have gone absolutely out of control throughout all of 2025. So why not look at what are a couple of areas where I can really look at saving some money, where I'm not in a volatile market like the food market? Want to address that for a second, and then
Sure.
I
I
have
mean,
Go ahead.
Yeah, for a restaurateur, there's a lot of expenses. The food service is probably their largest expense, but they also have, cleaning supplies. You've got health insurance. You've got property and casualty insurance. You've got cyber insurance. You got merchant card fees. You have office supplies. So with the food costs, the one thing we can do there is put a program together where we negotiate on your behalf with the broadline food suppliers, and we put together a cost plus program. And the way it works is that the broadline supplier agrees to charge you their costs plus a markup. And that markup includes their profit margin, their freight, and that margin stays for the 2 or 3 year period that we negotiate. So the nice thing is, as the prices go up and down, your costs go up and down, but you're getting the best prices. And the thing is, we also have audit rights, because what'll happen is, how can we prove that they're giving you their actual costs as a price? And we audit them, and then once they know that we're looking, they don't mess around. So what you're trying to do is
I'm more concerned, Ed. I'm more concerned with the distributor swapping out house brands or lesser brands into my order every week to get to where your cost savings are. So how does this audit system protect against the quality of what I'm putting on my plate every day for my patrons?
Well, you only order quality items, and when the products come in, you got to check them at the dock to make sure you're getting the
Okay.
quality prices. We're trying to control the cost, but we can't control the quality.
Okay.
That's got to be done at the restaurant spot.
Okay.
All right. All right. And you're telling me that what it does, it costs your client time, no upfront cash at all.
Well, what we try to do, Larry, is that all our restaurant clients are super busy, so we're trying to do the bulk of the time. And in order to get invoices to start out with, we don't need them to send us invoices. We can say, give us access to the supplier portal, and we'll gather data from the portal. We try to do all the lion's share of the work, and all we need them to do is to meet with us and let us provide you with the baseline. Here's what you're paying. Here's what your service and quality requirements are. And then we negotiate improved pricing. We tell them what the savings are, and then we do audits for 3 years.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
I have another question for Bob too. Bob, your initial explanation makes it sound as if life is business as usual in America's restaurants. Clearly, we've gone through a year of ice raids. The heat has been turned up tremendously. What's realistic to just reacting and responding versus planning how to move forward?
I think the point about, let's just talk about ICE raids and labor. That's a huge issue. It doesn't really seem to matter where you are. Labor's a huge problem. There are options that employers have, restaurants have. They can use a system called E-Verify, and that comes very close, not completely, to guaranteeing all of the employees have legally proper paperwork and they're entitled to work in the United States. And on the one hand, that's a great idea because it protects the employer. But on the other hand, that's not what's required. It's a much higher standard than what is required. What is required is, do you have paperwork that makes you think these people are all properly here? Now, if you use that second standard, the truth is you're going to end up getting some people who aren't entitled to work here. But if there's scrutiny, you're not liable. You didn't do anything wrong. So that's one of the questions. Which do you want to do? Some people use E-Verify. It's required in some states. It's required by federal contractors, but the vast majority of employers don't need to use it. And honestly, in the restaurant business, I don't recommend it. The thing I do recommend is I have employers who say, I have my I-9, and you look at it, and they didn't even fill it out. They didn't even try. Those guys can get big fines and can get into real trouble. It's not even a staffing issue at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is, without too much pain, you can try to be in compliance and you can do honestly, a pretty good job. Not great, but pretty good. And that's good enough. And in this world where the staffing is so difficult, I really don't think it makes any sense to try to be a bulletproof, because I think the bottom line is you're not going to be staffed. I have a guy right now out of Kansas who's telling me, I'm getting audited. The back of the house has been with me for 30 years. And if they look at those guys in the back of the house, I'm not going to be able to staff the restaurant tomorrow.
Yep.
They literally aren't. And the guy is absolutely panicked because he's been in the business for a long time. And this is
Yep.
like his business family. But there's nothing he can do now because he knows kind of deep down inside, yeah, he knows these guys aren't going to make it in terms of scrutiny. And I think that to me is a pity because he's going to end up ruining a business potentially. And I would have rather suffer through bad or low staffing, but at least be able to withstand the scrutiny so I won't have an empty house
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah, but you're
And
not
I'll
there
literally
every day.
shut down.
You're not there every day running it, and that's the reality of it, unfortunately. I know, though.
I know.
I know.
And look, I mean,
Chicken
the bottom
and egg.
You're right. And I guess part of it is get out of the restaurant business. Okay, well, that's not a very good answer.
Right.
But you got to realize that is
Right.
one of the huge hurdles in the restaurant business. And
Okay.
you just got to be realistic. You got to figure out the best way for you to do it, especially in your location. I mean, we do, I have some people and they have a like a super highway into certain communities where they get their staff,
Yep.
but they have the paperwork.
Yeah.
And that's what you want.
It's
Hard to
should
find,
thi-
though, I know.
So is the way to do this at the pre-shift meal or pre-shift meeting? Like, how do you implement this? What's the right place to do this?
Well, there's two things. First of all, I would try if I can, and I'm not, excuse me, Fred, I'm not oblivious to how hard this is, but if I can, I'd like the next hire to have good looking paperwork. I don't really want to get the old hires right now because my concern is, and the only exception to that is if you have no paperwork on the old hires, you're just taking a much, much bigger risk.
Got it.
Because the first thing the Department of Labor comes in is they say, you have to let me see your I-9s. And if they look at the I-9 and in 2 seconds they can look at it and say, you didn't even fill out section 2.
Yeah.
And the problem is that's much more egregious because it's not like you did it badly. It's you didn't even try. And that's what I'm trying to avoid. I want to avoid a case where the Department of Labor comes in and says, employer, this is criminal.
Yep. Yep.
So basically, what you're talking about right now is if anybody's ever gone to court or have given a deposition, your lawyer tells you right before you go in, only answer the questions. Do not add anything more. Just answer the questions and you'll be okay. And that's basically what you're saying to people. Fill out the I-9, fill it out to the best of your ability, show them the papers that you've been given, and you're okay with the government. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And the only exception to that is if someone gives you a social security card that has crayon on it and you accept it. All right, well, that's different.
Okay.
Obviously, you should know better. But
it has to at least
legit.
look. It has to at least look legit. I got it.
Looks legit. You've done what you have to do. And then the
Okay.
more scrutiny you give, the more sure you're going to be that you're going to withstand the audit. But as Fred was saying, that gets harder and harder. And you said the same thing, Larry.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. I look at things as simplistic. I am not pros like you guys are in the field. I look at it as a regular guy. And, it all makes common sense. Another thing that's skyrocketing and is health insurance. My God, health insurance for people just went up thousands and thousands of dollars. And Ed, you were telling us the other day about a new project that you have that will help defray some of the costs to some of the people. And it's another one of your free benefits. You want to spend a couple minutes talking about it?
Sure, I'd like to, Larry. So back in 1974, the IRS came out with a document called the 125 plan. And the way it works is you're allowed to put money aside and reduce your gross salary and then therefore pay less in state and federal and FICA taxes. And the nice thing is that if you're the employer and your employees are paying lower FICA taxes, you have to match them. So your FICA taxes also go down. So the nice thing about this plan is that it allows employers to save almost $1,000 a year for each employee. And it also allows the employee to take additional take-home pay of anywhere from $80 to $120 a month in additional take-home pay. The other thing is it provides free online healthcare, 3 doctor calls. It also has free prescriptions. And this is all covered within this plan, all under the 125 IRS plan.
Let me clarify that. Is that free prescriptions? You get your drugs for free, or the writing of the program of the prescription for free?
There's like 1,000 different prescriptions that are free in this program. And the nice thing about it is if the employer is offering health benefits, a lot of times not all the employees take advantage of that because maybe their spouse has coverage. This plan covers all the employees, regardless if they do or do not take the employer's health benefits.
It's astounding. Now, is this like the 125 plans that you have to spend the money by the end of the year, or is stay in a pool?
No, as long as what the company does, they send you text messages and emails about how to stay healthy. So for instance, how to lose weight, how to stop smoking, things like that. And because of that, you're eligible for the plan, and therefore you're eligible to have your gross pay reduced and pay less in taxes. So the nice thing is, Larry, that for each employee, let's say they have 100 employees that they have, there would be $100,000 in savings of less payroll taxes. And the employee gets extra take-home pay. So it's a win-win across the board.
Are hair transplants included?
Only in Turkey.
All right. It's not perfect. It's just great.
Yeah.
All right. So Bob, you and I were speaking about a couple other things while we were discussing things yesterday. Things that people ought to have their heads up. We've covered starting today. We've covered the I-9 Gordian knot. What else do we have?
There's a big issue I see in a lot of restaurants where I think very good-hearted restaurateurs basically say to their employees, "What do you want from a pay stand?" And an employee will say, "Look, if you give me X dollars a week, I'll work all the hours you want. I'm good." The employee's happy, the employer's happy, everyone's happy. The thing that employers have to understand is that's not legal. And here's the thing, you can get to that end. You can get to the same result. It's just a lot of employers say, I'm not going to keep track of any of my hours. I'm not going to keep track of anything. I'm just going to give this guy $1,000 a week. And if he's got $1,000 a week, he's happy. That's not legal. But you can set up an arrangement that basically presumes the employee will work a certain flat number of hours. You can work backwards and try to make sure you're paying them a legal amount. And the truth of the matter is sometimes, the employee may work a few hours less, and you're still going to pay him that same amount. It is a way, it's going to take some counsel. It is going to take talking to a lawyer who's familiar with this, but there are ways of giving the employees what they want legally, as opposed to just a very quick, you need X dollars, I'm going to give you X dollars, but I'm going to pay no attention to the record keeping. And that's going to cost you a fortune if you ever get audited. That's the problem, especially in New York, where they go back for 6 years. So for 6 years, you've been paying somebody wrong. They got what they wanted. You got what you wanted. Everybody's happy, but the government says, no, we're not going to follow that. So my first point is just understand, just because you, restaurateur, and your employee are happy with the arrangement, it doesn't mean it's legal. And I've had clients who get furious at me saying, I don't understand. Everybody's happy. What the hell are you saying? And I can't disagree with them, except
Are you talking about people being paid in cash? Are you talking about people
No.
not? Okay.
In other words, I specifically had a restaurateur in New York, and what he did was, and you can tell that this is old because the guy only wants $600 a week.
Right.
But all he was a dishwasher. I mean, that was basically what he was. He was a dishwasher. He paid us $600 a week. He was happy. He worked as many hours as he wanted, as the employer wanted him to. That arrangement's not legal. Now, if you had said, I'm going to pay you for 50 hours a week, I expect you, and you figure out that 50 hours is realistically what it is, and you paid them a salary, basically 50 hours. How much would that cost at minimum wage for 40? How much would that cost for time and a half for the 10?
Right.
So you calculate it, and you're giving the guy what he wants, because what he wants to know is he can say, every week I get this paycheck.
And do they get
that.
do they get a 1099 or a W-2 at the end
No,
of the year? What?
they're employees, they're
Okay.
W-2s.
Okay, got it.
Because if you're doing 1099s and you've got somebody who's a dishwasher, server, whatever, in almost all those cases, that they're not really 1099 independent
Right.
contractors. They're really employees. So my first point is just if you can just understand some of the basics. And again, this is probably, forgive me, I'm going to publicize or advertise for the lawyers. This is worse than an hour's time with a lawyer to just say, let me explain how you can do this. And then you can comply with the law. And now all of a sudden it's a completely different situation. And I think the employers just don't understand that you do have to have some planning. You can't just agree on a pay system because it's not necessarily illegal. And my example is that flat fee every week I'm going to get. That doesn't work for the non-exempt dishwashers and those kinds of people.
This has nothing to do with what we would, well, this has sort of what to do what we were talking about. So you say you have a guys that you've got everybody on a 1099, but they have to be in the restaurant between 8 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And you have to put in so many hours and you have to do this and you have to do that. And then the guy quits and all of a sudden he goes to unemployment.
Right.
And you
Exactly.
say, hey, the guy's a 1099. What's the ruling on that?
Again, the first point is just because you and the employee agree that they're a 1099, that means literally nothing. The question is this, a 1099, the best example of a 1099, frankly, is your lawyer. Unbeknownst to all of you guys, I prepared for this program last night at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was sitting in my gym shorts and my t-shirt, and that's when I did all the work. Nobody cares. No one looks. Doesn't matter. As long as I get my project done, I'm good. But if I'm an employee who's doing restaurant work, you can't just decide I'm an independent contractor. The law says that's not true. So in fact, that guy has to be an employee.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't do that. They think I'll get around this through independent contractors. Although I see that more in like catering. I don't see that as much in the restaurant world because there, I think most of the restaurateurs realize you can't have a guy who's a waiter or a dishwasher and try to call him an independent contractor. I don't know whether you guys have seen that, but I really haven't seen much of that. I've seen
Right.
it in the catering world a lot.
So if you're required to do a certain amount of jobs per week in your uniform, in this and that, you're no longer a 1099, no matter what you sign.
Yes, and what I would say to you simply in a restaurant, if you're talking about wait staff, if you're talking about back of the house, you're talking about all those people, don't even think about independent contractor. It's just not going to work. It's not. And the problem is what you said, Larry. That person's going to get hurt and they're going to file for workers' comp, or that person's going to get fired for theft or something really bad, and they're going to go file for unemployment, and the employer is going to go ballistic because they are a thief.
Yep.
But the answer is, yeah, but you treat them like an independent contractor, and they're not, and you had to have this coverage. And once the unemployment division finds out about this, they'll audit your entire operation. That's why I go back to try to get on track. Try to just, I'm not saying be perfect, but if you can be fairly compliant, then the Department of Labor is going to be much more sympathetic. It's not going to be as big a deal. But when you have these arrangements that are just on their face, anyone who knows anything about the business will say that's absurd. You can't do that. That pisses off the Department of Labor, and they come in much harder and much heavy-handed.
So maybe one of the answers is to take a program from Ed, like the 125, and blend a benefit package with an actual compensation package to get to the net that employee wants to get to. That possible? Is there something out there, Ed, creatively that could be done?
I think there is, Fred. Yes.
Yeah, and once again, a lot of people, every time I've spoken to people about its programs, they always say, so what's this going to cost me? And I say to them, you've already spent the money.
Yeah.
You've already spent the money. The idea is what he's doing is clawing money back for you and saving you money. So,
Hey, Larry,
yeah.
real quick, I have some other categories. When Fred asked, where we could help a restaurateur.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Besides food, yeah.
Yeah, so we also can help with their uniforms and linens costs, temporary labor, payroll processing, the janitorial service that they have, utilities if they own their building, waste management, and also telecom, mobile, voice, and data, and also their banking services.
Yeah.
These are
I know this is going to sound like a commercial, but you got to talk about this, Ed. You got to talk about it. Tell the people, the listening public, basically your linen service story about that health club.
Yeah, that's a good one. So we're working with a big health club in New York City, and they're spending close to $300,000 with Cintas, their current supplier. And we came in and negotiated with Cintas and a couple of the other uniform companies, and we found 65% savings.
Oof.
And
Wow.
and Cintas came in with 65%. The other came in with 55%. And the client said, you know what? I don't want to deal with Cintas anymore. They've been screwing us. They've been overcharging us, and their services aren't that good. So in the middle of December, we implemented these savings, and the new uniform company is doing a fantastic job so far.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. And now, granted, not everybody that you're going to work with is going to get a 65% savings. This
Right.
is not a guarantee, but
Right.
this is a slap in the head because this is a company that supposedly run as close like a watch, a Swiss watch. It's supposed to be run, and here they let this thing slip by for 10 years.
Yeah. And
For
Larry, the
10
good
years.
thing we can find is that we can guarantee you that either we can get you the best price that's out there or confirm that you've already got the best price.
Right.
So it's a win-win all across the board.
And if you have the best price, what's your charge?
There's no charge. We just confirm that you're in good shape.
Okay. Okay.
But it only happens 10% of the time, so we're willing to take that risk.
Okay.
What else besides linens?
I'm sorry, say it again, Fred.
What else besides linens are an opportunity that you see?
Yeah, I'll go through them again. It's
I mean, you mentioned insurance premiums, which I find hard to believe because there's no such thing as insurance premiums going down.
right.
Please, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
What's happening now, Fred? A lot of our clients are going to self-insurance, and they're taking the risk, but you can put limits on what the risks are.
Okay.
The other thing is captives. A lot of our clients are going to captives, and the way captives work is that whatever you're paying in your insurance policies, let's say you have a great year, you don't have any claims, all that profit goes to the insurance company. If you're in a captive, if you don't have a lot of claims, all those savings go into your pocket. So it's a great opportunity if your insurance costs are going higher.
I will tell you, I'm surprised more people don't try to use captives.
I know.
I think it's confusing and it takes a little while to figure it out. And there are some upfront costs, but I'll tell you, people who use these captives, the small guys can't do it. But in a fairly decent sized restaurant, and people use the insurance, and that's the key. a lot of our restaurateur clients, honestly, they don't have insurance, health insurance. But if you have someone where you're using it, boy, I think the captives are a huge opportunity.
Rob,
What's the break point with captives? Where does it become feasible?
usually with 100 employees.
100 employees.
Yeah.
So,
So Bob, a lot of your clients that don't have insurance, they should think about this 125 plan. Because what that would do is provide them with telehealth, mental health on the telephone and all that at no cost.
You and I offline, I want to chat with you because I think there's some things that I'd like to hear more about.
Okay.
That's one of them. That would be good.
okay. Okay, guys, guess what? Time is our enemy, and it is that time. So let's go around the room and give that one last tidbit of information. And Ed, why don't you start?
I used to work for an old Italian guy, and he had a saying that it's not what you expect, it's what you inspect.
I
I like that one.
I like that. We're stealing that one.
So,
That's a good one.
Inspector Ed, what advice you give the people? Say they want to get in touch with you. How do they do that?
They can reach out to me in LinkedIn, or they can reach out to me my email address, which is eflanagan@eragroup.com.
Okay, thank you. And Bob, uh, you are the Ides of March guy. You come on, give us
know what
some
I
more.
really would say to people for 26? Just try to take one or two steps that you should be doing from a compliance standpoint. Don't try to eat that elephant all in one bite, but take a couple of steps because I think there are so many easy ways that you can dramatically improve your compliance without incurring costs. I mean, the best example is the clients we have who don't even bother to fill out the I-9s at all. And that's just a form. It's just fill it out. Even if you don't do it perfectly, fill it out. I would just say take a couple of steps to try to figure out some of these areas where you think you're not in compliance, and you can look it up and we can help you. You can help yourself be much more compliant. And I think the government agencies are going to be so much more sympathetic towards you if you ever have a problem. So take a couple of steps in the right direction.
So what you're trying to say is it is so much easier to fill out the I-9 than it is to write that check for those big fines that are coming down the road.
That's true. And that big check's going to be dramatically smaller if you're even trying to fill out the I-9s. It really will. I mean, it just makes sense.
Yep.
All right. Fred.
Great session. Thank you, guys. Learned a bunch. Never knew what a captive was until this morning. Thank you.
All right. And everybody, just thanks for being here today. We are going to be back next week. So until then, as I always say, everybody stay positive, test negative, and I'll see you next week. Bye now.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.